You said that you're in your second campaign,
Right.
and you're getting started in it. So
Right.
you were going to tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, we're in the second campaign, and I did this in 2005. What was interesting back then, though, is that I was very familiar, extremely familiar with the ward that I was running in, having served as a director of the Development Corporation for 4 years for Ward 15. This time around, it's so different in the sense that even though we conducted a professional poll to try to understand, first of all, where do I run, based on how the wards were cut up in that. The question was a matter of, so where do we run, and what, how do we determine those issues? So we talked to a lot of people and stuff, but and we do have some contacts within that new area. But one of the more interesting things I've never done is do a poll. So we actually did a poll to try to determine, what were the true sentiments of a larger percentage of the population. So that was kind of neat, and it actually brought out a lot of the stuff that any casual observer, or even someone who knows a little bit about the areas, it brought out some of the facts that I think people assumed, but it just did it in a more objective and, I guess, scientific way. Okay. So that was probably a good thing. And what I think it did is, unlike the last campaign where I had a pretty good confidence level, just because I knew the community so well and I knew the people so well, this time around, I don't know the community and the people as well. How would I? I worked there for 4 years in the area in Ward 15 before I ran. This time, I think my confidence in what I've done in the last 3.5 years, plus the confidence that the poll gives me, helps us a little bit. If we would have done the poll, not that we've relied solely on it, I just don't think we would have the confidence that we do right now. So it's good.
Is running in Ward 14 different than running in Ward 15 in
Absolutely.
terms of the people that you're dealing with?
Yeah, sure it is, of course. But I think it's almost, in a superficial way, it's different. Because clearly, there's high concentrations of higher wealth and higher income in Ward 15 than there would be in the new Ward 14, or vice versa. There's higher, larger areas of lower poverty and lower, more poverty and lower income in the Ward 14. But so superficially, yeah, the houses are less expensive. People might be in areas less educated, lower income, but ultimately the concerns are absolutely the same. And I would even think, you had mentioned with Blackheart going in on the east side in Collinwood and on the west side when you started up. I've gotten to go to some meetings on the east side in the last 6 months because of the redistricting issues and stuff. And what we found out was that Mount Pleasant is viewed as kind of the old Brooklyn of the east side, in the sense that it's a really stable neighborhood that really anchors that
been
whole
there for ages.
Part of the east side. So similarly, that's a race issue, a lot in many ways, in terms of a very strong, stable, proud black community. Old Brooklyn is that way, with a majority of whites. Clark Fulton, what's really intriguing is people have a perception of it, and we can talk a little bit about what people perceive Clark Fulton to be, or that sliver of Tremont, that farther west portion of Tremont, or this part of Brooklyn Center. People can talk about the perceptions of how they view them, but in reality, I think that the concerns, the concerns are identical. Crime and safety, issues pertaining to employment and jobs. The economy, if you follow the folks that really report it, economy's been in a tank for 12 years. So people have almost been numb to how bad the economy is. So jobs, economic development, crime and safety, infrastructure issues are a big deal. People are just starting to recognize that, gee whiz, you're falling behind on paving your streets and updating your sewer lines, and the city's getting old, and geez, infrastructure. I would have thought that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago when I first started working back in Cleveland. Infrastructure is something that you just kind of take for granted. In a city of our age, and in this economy and how long we've been down, it's a big deal. And of course the housing, just people fearful for their own housing values, and the values of their neighborhood, and what are they going to do, and when's that ever going to get better?
Yeah.
So all those, the people are the same in terms of the concerns.
How do you see yourself addressing those concerns if you're elected to Ward 14?
We answer this question every day.
Every day.
On the campaign, and one of the first things I say is that, when I tell you what I'm going to do, the process is almost as, or if not equally or more important than the goals or the things that I'm going to tell you that we're going to try to do. So the way we do it is extremely important. And one of the things that I bring out, because it is really critical to the campaign, is I've got a prop. This is our first what we call our walk card. And what I tell people is, look at this campaign piece. This isn't just something that you take and
glance at
whatever. I said, take this and look at it, because frankly, I don't believe I've seen any other candidate in this race put out as detailed a resume of information about myself as I have on this card. And that's important when asked, what are you going to do? From the standpoint that, well, let's frame this a little bit first, and let's not just do a 1 minute, 2 minute elevator speech or whatever you do, and then I'm going to walk off your porch. This is a serious issue. I'm going to be your elected representative for 4 years. This is not a passive thing where I come to your house, I give you a card, I leave, you never see me again. So I tell them, first of all, look at my background, my 25 years of experience, places in context, who I am, and how I do things, what my experience brings to me in terms of how I view things and how I do things. And I talk about the process, and then really we do begin to talk about how, because of the economy and it being so bad, that people don't have a whole lot of money to invest right now, both on the residential and commercial side, and project development side, so to speak. So what we're doing right now, and we really began 2, 3.5 years ago when I really started off, is once I got settled and understood the position better, we're trying to do, and it sounds corny, but very incremental changes. And when I say that, leveraging dollars, leveraging funding, either for residential, commercial development, or improvements, trying to hold some of the physical sides of our neighborhoods, in the sense of our main arterial streets, and some of our primary residential streets. If we don't hold those to some level of quality, this is what can really erode the perception of neighborhoods, I think.